Straight ahead, Princeton does it again. The Tigers are moving on to the Sweet 16. Will they be joined by FDU? Police investigate a deadly robbery at a Queens smoke shop. And we're getting you ready for a chilly and windy Sunday. The PIX 11 News at 10 is next.
Celebrating 75 years as New York's very own. This is PIX 11.
Live from 42nd Street, this is the PIX 11 News at 10.
And tonight at 10, police investigating a deadly robbery at a Queens smoke shop. We're live at the scene with the latest on the search for 3 suspects. Plus, former President Donald Trump says he will be arrested on Tuesday and is calling for his supporters to protest. But first, the sweetest shower they've ever taken. The Princeton men's basketball team pulls off a major upset over Missouri in the NCAA tournament. And thank you for joining us. I'm Arrianee Lebeau. Kitey is off tonight. This is March Madness at its finest. One night after FDU shocked the world by taking down #1 seeded Purdue. The New Jersey underdog, will not continue their Cinderella story in the Sweet 16. We have team coverage for you tonight. McGee Hickey is live on the Upper East Side with reaction from fans. But first, let's send it over to Joe Mauceri for a recap of how this all went down. Hey, Joe.
Hey there, Arrianee. A year after St. Peter's made a magical run in March Madness, we've got another 15 seed from New Jersey happy to wear the glass slipper tonight. The Princeton Tigers securing a spot in the Sweet 16. Senior Ryan Legborg led the way for the Tigers with 22 points, and sophomore Blake Peters chipped in with 17. Princeton really controlled the game throughout. They led this one by as many as 21 and dominated the Missouri Tigers, 78-63 the final. Princeton becomes the first Ivy League school to reach the Sweet 16 since Cornell did it in 2010.
This is a very, very confident group. We are so thrilled to be going to the Sweet 16. It is an absolute pleasure being around these guys. They just grit their teeth and they do it.
So the Tigers move on to Louisville to get the winner of Creighton and Baylor next week. Arrianee.
All right, thanks, Joe. Let's continue our team coverage of Princeton's big win by sending it over to McGee Hickey. She's live at a sports bar on the Upper East Side with reaction from some basketball fans. Hey, McGee.
Hey, Arrianee, what is it about these New Jersey college teams? First Fairleigh Dickinson, now Princeton. March Madness is madder than ever so early in the season. Here at the Gaff Sports Bar on the Upper East Side, many of these basketball fans came here rooting and betting on 10th seeded Missouri, never expecting the 15th seeded Princeton, an Ivy League school, to reach the Sweet 16. And the score wasn't even that close, 78-63, as Joe just told us all about. Those watching this March Madness game had their own theories about why Princeton won.
Anybody can win. Anybody can win. I think a big thing is like the transfer portal. Any player can go anywhere now. Doesn't stop them from going anywhere. So they're just doing it. So you get some good players in different colleges. Princeton, though, I don't know. It's different. It's different. They got a chance. They got a chance.
They got a chance at what?
Going to the Elite Eight. They're going to the Sweet 16 now. Moving on further. Making a lot of people mad, I will tell you that. People are losing money on them.
FanDuel is the worst thing that ever happened to me.
So you were betting on who?
Missouri.
And you lost big time.
I picked the wrong Tigers, basically.
I watched the game, and to be honest, I didn't think Princeton had a chance. But, you know, the Tigers, they came out and they played a great game, and they were amazing. I think it's probably one of the biggest upsets of the tournament so far.
And they're still excited about Princeton's big win. Now, if Princeton makes it to the Elite Eight, it will be the first time since 1965 when Bill Bradley was the star. We are live at the Gap on the Upper East Side. McGee Hickey, PIX 11 News. Back to you, Arrianee.
All right, thank you, McGee. Well, Princeton's not the only Garden State school shaking up the tournament. Fairleigh Dickinson became only the second 16 seed in history to topple #1 by beating Purdue last night. The Knights' 63-58 victory is made even more amazing by the fact that FDU only got its March Madness shot because the Northeast Conference tournament champs were not able to participate. Now, students on the TNET campus are drawing inspiration from this win.
Shows that it doesn't matter like what your odds are against each other, like you have a shot, like anything is possible.
And so we were just so pumped and excited for our team. I mean, we're a little school, so getting, you know, that little shine of fame and succeeding, it was just, we're so excited for them.
FDU will now take on the #9 seed Florida Atlantic University tomorrow night. We'll have more on tonight's NCAA games coming up in sports. In the meantime, a beautiful day out there today. Let's go ahead and send it over to meteorologist Star Harvey with a look at our weather. Hi, Star.
Hello and good evening, Arrianee. Yeah, you know, today absolutely gorgeous, especially when we talk about this weekend being the wrap-up of our winter season. We got through pretty nice. Tomorrow does come with some changes, but wanted to go ahead and take a look at our highs for today. We did come in quite seasonable. Now, our average temperature for this time of the year, that 50 mark. You'll see most of the area came in lower 50s. We did have Newark, not also Central Park, but also LaGuardia hit that 56 mark. Right now, we're seeing a lot of clearing around the tri-state. Temperature still in the upper 30s. We have some mid-50s, not just across Central Park, but also across the west end of the island. Our islip at 45. Sustained winds, still pretty gusty for areas north and east of the city. Otherwise, we are seeing those single digits, about 5 to 8 miles per hour. Our gusts also a little heavier for areas north and east of the city. We're talking about 20 to 25 miles per hour. So it's been pretty windy all day. We'll get through the rest of our weekend like that. As far as that clear conditions, that's what we're showing here on our satellite and radar. Pretty quiet as we do await our cold front to pressing through for the rest of this weekend. It's going to give us a chilly day tomorrow. We're starting off in the 30s. We're expected to be in the 30s around noon as well, but expected to make it into the 40s. Although with those wind chills, it's going to be feeling a lot cooler than this, especially for those runners tomorrow. Of course, I'll have more details on what to expect for the wrap of our official last weekend of winter, but also what to expect moving into spring. Arrianee?
All right, thank you, Star. Well, a smoke shop robbery in Queens took a deadly turn earlier this afternoon when the robbers pulled a gun and shot and killed a store employee. PIX 11 Steve Cooge is live for us tonight in Richmond Hill at the scene of the robbery gone wrong. Hi, Steve.
Hey there, Arrianee. Yeah, this robbery left one person dead, a young smoke shop employee, along with 3 robbers, 3 potentially armed robbers on the loose tonight, on the run from police. You can see at this hour, officers and investigators are still inside the Plug Smoke Shop here in Queens on Jamaica Avenue and 110th Street. They're looking for clues, evidence, anything that might lead them to these potentially armed suspects. Meanwhile, this community of Richmond Hill, they're feeling pretty nervous with the suspected killer on the loose. For neighbors in this Richmond Hill community, it was bang, 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 followed by the sight of 3 armed men bolting out the front door of this smoke shop. Police say the men robbed this business, known as the Plug Smoke Shop. It's located along Jamaica Avenue and 110th Street in Queens. Daringly, the crime happened in broad daylight around noon Saturday. For some reason, stealing things inside weren't all the robbers took. Police say they also took a life. A young employee was shot and killed. Witnesses told us the young man who died was just 20 years old. They say he was shot and killed for simply doing his job.
I'm scared because that's my house is the front. A lot of, you know, a lot of problem like this is not good for my family.
By the time officers and first responders arrived, the suspects were gone, and the smoke shop worker had passed away. This neighbor tells us this Richmond Hill area is unfortunately experiencing a rise in violence, crimes, and other problems ever since this smoke shop opened up.
A lot of people is coming here, a lot of gangs, you know. It's not good like this.
The suspected armed robbers in this case were dressed from head to toe in all black clothing. And right now, that's really the only descriptions we have of them right now. As for the victim who lost his life, officers are not releasing his name yet. They're still trying to notify his family about what has happened. As for anyone watching right now, if you guys, someone out there knows something about this robbery gone wrong here in Richmond Hill, please contact the authorities. And yes, tipsters can remain anonymous. We're live in Richmond Hill, Queens. Steve Koosh, PIX 11. Arrianee, back to you.
All right, thank you, Steve. Meanwhile, one person is dead and 2 others seriously injured after a triple stabbing in Brooklyn earlier this morning. Police are still searching for the suspect. The attack took place on Knickerbocker Avenue in Bushwick at approximately 3 a.m. Officers identified a 24-year-old man who was fatally stabbed in the neck. Another 26-year-old man was taken to the hospital in Elmhurst with stab wounds to the torso. A third 21-year-old man walked into Wyckoff Heights Medical Hospital with similar injuries. Both of the wounded victims' conditions range from serious to critical, and this is still being investigated. Well, a man is under arrest for threatening to kill the mayor and police officers in Yonkers. He said he would do this during the city's St. Patrick's Day parade, which was today. The man, 32-year-old Ron Cola of Yonkers, posted a picture of himself holding an axe online along with threats on social media. He was arrested yesterday, and authorities say he's a religious extremist who sympathizes with terrorists. Today's St. Patrick's Day parade went on as planned.
We see multiple police officers searching around, making sure everyone's safe. Bomb squad, with the attack dogs, and, just making sure that everyone has a safe time.
Cola is charged with making threatening interstate communications. The maximum penalty is 5 years. Well, funeral services in Paterson, New Jersey today for a community activist fatally shot by police. Friends and family of Najee Seabrooks came out to pay respects to the 31-year-old anti-violence activist. The funeral comes a day after the state's attorney general released body cam video from the deadly encounter. Now, it shows officers negotiating with Seabrooks, who had locked himself in a bathroom during what his family describes as a mental health crisis. The AG says the officers opened fire after he lunged at them with a knife. Meanwhile, the Social Justice Institute is calling for a federal investigation into this shooting. Well, still to come on the PIX 11 News at 10, former president of the United States says he will soon be in handcuffs. Why Donald Trump expects to be arrested and how officials are preparing for potential protests in the city and nationwide. Plus, a fire in Newark leaves several families without a home. We'll have details after the break.
Nothing says New York like PIX 11. New York news. New York weather, New York traffic. Wake up every day to the news that's all about New York. The PIX 11 Morning News, New York's very own.
Well, former President Donald Trump says in a matter of days he will be placed under arrest. Mr. Trump making this announcement on Truth Social, indicating that he learned through, quote, illegal leaks that he'll be arrested on Tuesday. He finished the post by urging his supporters to protest. This all comes as a New York grand jury investigates hush money payments to women who allegedly had sexual encounters with the former president. Our Eileen LaPalmer has more from outside the Manhattan DA's office.
All is quiet right now outside of the Manhattan District Attorney's office and criminal court, but that could all change come Tuesday. Former President Trump putting out on social media that he expects to be arrested, and he's calling for protests. An early Saturday morning social media post from former President Trump starts with, "Our nation is now third world and dying." On Truth Social, Trump repeats the claim that the 2020 presidential election was stolen and goes on to say that, quote, now illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan District Attorney's office makes it clear that he, quote, will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest, take our nation back.
It feels great.
It comes just days after former Trump attorney and fixer Michael Cohen testified before a grand jury, hearing evidence that Trump allegedly ordered hush money to be paid to porn star Stormy Daniels. The Manhattan DA's office is not commenting on a possible Trump arrest. On News Nation this week, Trump's current attorney said this when asked about a possible Trump indictment.
It's becoming more probable, I think, now. But the one thing I still hold on to is hope that justice will prevail, that the district attorney's office won't stoop to the level of...
A former president being indicted is something that we've never seen before.
Alan Sanders, a professor emeritus at St. Peter's University, says Trump's social media post Saturday is an attempt
to get ahead of the news and try to frame it in a way that benefits him. It's also a way to engage in fundraising. Constitutionally, theoretically, hypothetically, indictment or imprisonment does not disqualify one from the presidency or indeed from any federal office.
As for Trump's call for people to protest, PIX 11 reached out to the NYPD and the mayor's office. In a statement, Press Secretary Fabian Levy said, quote, in coordination with other local, state, and federal law enforcement, the NYPD always remains prepared to respond to events happening on the ground and keep New Yorkers safe.
Hopefully that this does not happen, that this is not a situation that gets out of hand.
Former senior Homeland Security and law enforcement official for New York State, Michael Balboni, tells PIX 11 law enforcement across the country will be monitoring social media and working to prevent a repeat of January 6th when Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol.
Who's talking about what? When are they talking about? But there's also other things. The surrounding counties. They can tell who's getting on the trains. You know, what are they doing? What are people saying as they're waiting in line? If they come up from the subways, what's going on? This will take a coordinated effort between, NYPD, Secret Service, FBI.
And we reached out to Trump's current attorney, but did not get a response as to whether, in fact, there has been an indictment, or if there is, whether Trump would be allowed to surrender. We are here in Lower Manhattan. Eileen LaPalmer, PIX 11 News.
Well, more than a dozen people are without a home tonight after an early morning 3-alarm fire in Newark. You can see the flames in these pictures. The building on South 19th Street is a total loss. The fire also spread to 2 other buildings. Fire officials say everyone got out okay and no injuries were reported, but 15 adults and 1 child had to be relocated. The cause of this fire is under investigation. Well, Holi celebrations were in full swing at the Seaport in New York today. The event for the Hindu Festival of Colors was hosted in partnership with the Culture Tree and the South Street Seaport Museum. Guests were encouraged to partake in traditional powder throwing. Authentic Indian holiday dishes and vendors lined the street. PIX 11 News spoke with the founder of Culture Tree about how the event is geared toward families.
This is the second year we are doing this celebration for families and especially for children, in which we have story time, we have puppet making. We also have a puppet show called Colors of Krishna's Love, which tells a story of why Holi is celebrated.
All right, well, those celebrating Holi are encouraged to sing, dance, and purge any negative thoughts or feelings they had from the year before. We actually look like we're dressed in the colors that they throw the powder for Holi.
Yes, but not just that, Arrianee. I feel like we're dressed for the next coming season. Okay.
All right.
One of my favorite seasons. That's right. We are ending our last official weekend here of the winter season. And, winter has really just been doing its own thing here across the tri-state. But, in fact, it said, hey, I'm not going out without a bang. We are going to see those temperatures for tonight drop down into the 30s. We do have some of those 20s that will be hugging the Hudson Valley and areas north of. So, yep, those extra blankets and heaters needed for tonight. Now, tomorrow morning, and we are expecting temperatures to be cool. In fact, they'll remain cool throughout most parts of the day. We're talking 10 to 15 degrees below where they should be for this time of the year. And just as Arrianee and I were saying, spring kicks off Monday, and it's going to do so with some mild temperatures. And by the end of next week, we will need those umbrellas, giving us some of those spring showers. As of right now, we're seeing those mostly clear skies across the area. Temperatures really holding in the 30s for areas areas north of the city, but you'll see a lot of us still hanging around in the low to mid 40s. Under those clear skies, satellite and radar here pretty dry across the area. Now, taking a wider look out, we do sit between two systems, and again, that's what's allowing for all of those clouds to dissipate earlier in the day. Our next system is going to be that cold front, and that's what's allowing for all of these cool temperatures to make their way across the tri-state. So, yep, tonight we're expected to be at 31. We contain those mostly clear skies, and you'll notice that areas in the suburbs, we are talking 20, so well below that freezing mark. Getting to tomorrow, it'll be similar to today, so we'll get those sun and clouds mixing in. Those breezes remain in place. We're expected to be in the 40s, so again, that is about 10 to 15 degrees below where we should be. But all in all, we do end our weekend precipitation free. We get to the start of our work week. We're talking Monday. You see there, wall-to-wall sunshine. Copy paste for our Tuesday. It's when we get to Wednesday that things start changing up here. Look at all that white. That is some clouds moving across the area. Again, we're still expected to stay dry for Wednesday. It's when Thursday arrives that we really do start to get some of those showers moving in. And we're talking on and off again showers for Thursday. By the time we get to Friday, we're expecting our showers to be a bit more steady throughout the day. So again, expect to need those coats tomorrow. If you're going to be out there rallying on all of our half marathon runners, coats are going to be needed. We're talking 40 degrees, bouncing back up into the 50s for the start of spring, and then we get even warmer moving into Tuesday, 60 degrees there. What do we get for the rest of the week, Arrianee? I'll have a breakdown of that coming up in our 7-day forecast, but for now, back to you.
All right, thank you, Star. Well, coming up, New Yorkers in some Brooklyn neighborhoods can now adopt a subway station. The idea is to get neighbors to help improve stations. How this works and who can volunteer, coming up next.
You're watching the PIX 11 News at 10.
Well, neighbors in the city can adopt a park and support their local libraries and schools. Well, now there's a way for some riders to adopt a subway station, and some Brooklyn neighbors hope it will improve service. But what does the MTA think? Greg Mauceri has more from downtown Brooklyn.
Riders spend a lot of time in transit, on the platforms and trains. There's millions of opinions about the commute and just as many eyes and ears about what's going on.
I just started back riding the trains, and I'm starting to see more cops and more lights.
From safety to station conditions, riders are a resource. How about adopting your station? Some neighbors in Brooklyn and City Council member Lincoln Ressler have a new project.
The MTA system, it feels like there's no face, there's no accountability. What we're trying to do here is bring our neighbors to the table to work with the MTA staff.
Councilmember Ressler is signing up volunteers, beginning with 5 stations in his downtown Brooklyn, Greenpoint, and Williamsburg district. These are places his office has heard about most often. The MTA is participating. There will be walkthroughs and a way to quickly report problems up the chain of command.
Lights that are out, areas that haven't been cleaned properly, or broader improvements that we want to see that can make our stations cleaner, safer, healthier.
NYC Transit has renewed its own cleanup effort and has a new campaign. New signs are up and promise a sparkle, tile, paint, lights, and an overall shine.
I smelled paint the other day. That was about it.
All right, well, we got to give a thumbs up when we can.
Yeah.
Court Square is one of 12 stations where crews are working right now, part of the MTA's focus on cleaner and safer places. Faster is also a priority of the transit agency. A conversation with riders always includes a statement on the actual travel.
I just got off the G train. It takes like 10 minutes between G trains.
What I also hope will happen as a part of this process is that we'll have more engaged neighbors who are advocating for the resources that the MTA needs to do better and deliver better services for New Yorkers.
MTA customer service is on WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook. They regularly respond to and deal with tens of thousands of messages a month. Station agents will soon be out on platforms. There are transit workers and supervisors assigned to review lines. In downtown Brooklyn, Greg Mauceri, PIX 11 News.
Well, still to come, the dangerous new drug trank is driving up overdose deaths across the U.S. Our Murray Murphy spoke with a local outreach worker about the origin of the zombie drug and why it's thriving.
Live from 42nd Street, This is the PIX 11 News at 10.
Drug users in the Bronx shoot up with clean needles while dealers service customers across the street. And now everyone is talking about Trank, the animal tranquilizer tainting the drug supply. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Arrianee Lebeau. Katie is off tonight. The story about Trank has gone national. The drug that turns people into living zombies could be driving up overdose deaths. PIX 11's Mary Murphy has been following this crisis.
They call it caballo, anestesia de caballo.
Guillermo Rodriguez gave us the Spanish name for horse tranquilizer, or Trank. The medical name is xylazine.
Anestesia de caballo is something that's now being included with the fentanyl in the heroin.
The drug users we met on East 149th Street in the Bronx inject their dose of fentanyl right next to the Boom Health van. How long have you been injecting drugs?
Me, I got around maybe 15 years.
The dealers are meeting customers directly across the street. A police van with flashing lights chasing them away about 30 minutes later. The outreach workers from Boom providing clean needles to limit the spread of HIV and hepatitis infections. They're also carrying wound care packages. Skin ulcers are often associated with Trank.
I'm seeing a lot of infections, pus running out their arms.
The Bronx healthcare providers worried about the horse tranquilizer that's been mixed into 90% of Philadelphia street supply. Users often developing skin lesions and sometimes losing fingers and limbs. Our sister station, WPIX in Memphis, reported a year ago that up until 2015, xylazine, Trank, was only present in 2% of Philadelphia's overdose deaths. That skyrocketed to 31% in 2019. Recent data showed xylazine was present in 20% of New York City's fatal ODs. The Bronx had the highest number of fatal overdoses in New York City, according to the most recent data. The Bronx is also the place where drug mills were discovered mixing Trank into the street drug supply of fentanyl and heroin. One bad batch of xylazine ended up in Berks County, Pennsylvania, where more than 100 people overdosed in a single weekend in September 2021, with doctors noticing odd behaviors.
They were seeing zombie-like individuals presenting to the emergency room. I would say that New York City is our primary source city of drugs in the city of Reading.
Earlier this month, xylazine was involved in 40-plus overdoses in Syracuse, spurring a visit from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Analyze where it's coming from to basically cut off the illegal supply that is reaching central New York and upstate New York.
Xylazine can be bought online from Chinese websites, and so can the chemicals needed to make fentanyl, according to a former federal agent who recently testified before a congressional committee. So a crackdown on xylazine imports would have to include a crackdown on the websites. I'm Mary Murphy, PIX 11 News.
And stay with PIX 11 News for the latest on Trank. We will be bringing you more reports on this destructive substance. Also, you can watch all of Mary Murphy's reports on pix11.com. Well, tomorrow morning, 25,000 runners are expected to take part in a New York City half marathon. And this is going to make it difficult to get around, so you'll want to plan ahead. It's the city's second biggest running event. The 13.1-mile race starts in Brooklyn and ends in Manhattan's Central Park. We have a list of road closures at pix11.com. And coming up later this hour, we'll introduce you to a woman who's running to raise awareness about an incurable childhood disease. She was diagnosed with this rare disorder as a teen, and she never thought she'd be able to run again. But she defied the odds. Her story is coming up at 9:45. Or 10:45, excuse me. A fabulous indoor arts fair took over a pocket of Brooklyn today that is getting to be known for its wonderful art and artists. McGee Hickey has more from Prospect Lefferts Gardens.
Good evening to you, Arrianee, and welcome to the first annual indoor PLG Arts Spring Art Fair here at Brooklyn Commons. And most of the artists you see behind me live and work in Prospect Lefferts Gardens. With the Rafael Rosa Trio playing, these artists range in age from 5 to 92, and all have one thing in common. They love what they create, like 92-year-old Otto Niels, whose work is displayed in the Smithsonian, Kings County Hospital, and so many other places.
I work in all of the mediums: wood, stone, bronze, oils, pastels, and printmaking.
Jamie Lubetkin took these photographs on the street over the past 3 years.
It was inspired during the pandemic as a form of meditation and therapy to get through the difficult times. I would take walks and notice architecture, nature, and people.
We wanted to do something for the neighborhood, and we decided that this would be a perfect place, and it really is. We've got great attendance.
This father-son duo inspire each other, with 81-year-old Carl McIntosh creating three-dimensional collages, while his son Magnet creates found art and paints it.
So it's always been in my blood. Even when I was in school, I would like to scribble and draw on paper and create characters.
As the neighborhood has changed recently, there's just been a huge influx of artists.
Up next from PLG Arts, 2 musical performances, one for children at the Crown Heights Public Library and the other a jazz performance at a historical home here in Prospect Lefferts Gardens. From the Brooklyn Commons, McGee Hickey, PIX 11 News, back to you in the studio.
Well, still ahead, the latest on the failures of 2 major U.S. banks and how the Federal Reserve might respond. Plus, tax day is right around the corner, and the IRS is making several important changes that could impact how big or small your return is. We'll have details after the break. Time now for your business report. The Federal Reserve is slated to meet on Wednesday for the first time since 2 U.S. banks collapsed. There is speculation the central bank may pause a planned interest rate increase. Analysts say the Fed's recent hikes were a factor in the bank's failures by decreasing the value of long-term Treasury bonds. Meanwhile, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are divided on a response to the collapses. Democrats calling to strengthen regulations and oversight of the institutions, while they're meeting resistance from the GOP. Well, tax day is a month away, and there are some big changes that could shrink your refund or make it bigger. First, extra pandemic benefits are ending. The child tax credit is going back to normal, but step parents are now allowed to claim the credit. Meanwhile, teachers can take a bigger deduction for classroom expenses. And if you drive your personal vehicle for work, you will get an extra 4 cents a mile. Well, Dollar Tree is taking eggs off of the shelf, blaming high prices. Most stuff in the store is about $1, although there are some higher prices. A Dollar Tree spokesman says the cost of eggs are just too high, so the store is no longer selling them. They say they'll be back when prices hopefully drop in the fall. Well, nationally, eggs were running just over $4 a dozen last month. Well, she had dreams of being a professional ballerina, but a rare medical diagnosis changed her life. When she was put in a wheelchair at the age of 16, she had to learn to walk again. But now she's running the New York City Half Marathon with a purpose. We'll have her inspiring story next. But first, Joe's here in our studio with what's coming up in sports.
Hey there, Arrianee. At least one Cinderella still dancing. We'll have more on Princeton's big win. Plus, Brunson's back for the Knicks, but would it be enough to beat the best in the West? We've got your sports coming up after the break.
Nothing says New York like PIX 11. New York news. New York weather. New York traffic. Wake up every day to the news that's all about New York. The PIX 11 Morning News. New York's very own.
As runners prepare to take on the New York City Half Marathon tomorrow, one woman is doing so with a mission to spread awareness about an incurable disease affecting children. I caught up with her before her big race. The fact that Leanna Scaglione runs along the East River,
I'm just so happy as a runner,
is nothing short of a miracle. For years, she thought she'd never be able to run because she lives with NF, or neurofibromatosis. It's a genetic disorder that causes tumors to grow on your nerves throughout your body.
The nerve damage is still there. I think the body is just incredible, and it found a way to exist and keep me standing. But I've never tried running because I thought it would just aggravate that nerve and my leg would collapse out from underneath me.
She was diagnosed at the age of 15.
I found out that I had it by complete accident. I originally was training to be a professional ballerina, and for many years I was in pain. My right leg would hurt and I couldn't even lift it past 90 degrees. And then at 16, having that tumor come out, having it take 2 surgeries and ending up in a wheelchair, unable to walk or stand, it was like having the rug ripped out from underneath me.
To date, there's no cure for NF.
But I'm really proud to say that we have the first drug approved for NF1, which was approved in 2020. So there is a first drug now, which really creates an energy in the pharmaceutical company sector, who now are coming to us and say, we're willing to put our drugs into this NF space as well.
Annette Bacher is the president of the Children's Tumor Foundation, and she says NF can cause problems, leading to blindness, deafness, and severe pain.
When people are born with NF, people always describe it to me, or patients and families describe it to me. It's like walking through a train tunnel. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but when the train comes and hits you, it can hit you really hard.
About 2.5 million people around the world suffer with the disease, which is why the NF Endurance Team.
This is the NF Endurance Team race shirt. So on the front it says Children's Tumor Foundation, which is what NF Endurance Team represents,
is running in the New York City Half Marathon. Their hope is to raise awareness about NF and money for research. While Leanna will be lacing up her running shoes with a bigger purpose in mind this weekend, she says she hopes those living with NF, like herself, know they are not alone and a diagnosis doesn't mean the end.
I just want to show people that they can continue living their life, that no matter what's placed in front of them, it shouldn't stop them.
And to find out more about the Children's Tumor Foundation and NF, you can visit ctf.org. You can also follow Leanna's journey on IG and TikTok at Leanna_running_NF2. And hopefully the weather will be just right for the runners tomorrow. Let's go ahead and send it over to meteorologist Star Harvey with a look. Hey, Star.
Hey, Arrianee. Well, I can tell you that today in the weather department, temperatures gave what they were supposed to give. Tomorrow, we have a little bit of a different story, and that all starts with a cold front passing across the region. Tonight is when we start to see those temperatures really make their plummet. Taking a look right now across the boroughs, we are holding everything below that freezing mark here. You'll see across the map, we are in the 20s, the upper 20s there for Staten Island, but the rest of our boroughs also upper 20s, low 30s. Taking a wider look out, going ahead and taking it over to Jersey, we are seeing low to upper 20s there, 27 in Neptune City, and we'll see Mount Olive at 21 degrees. Across the Hudson Valley, even cooler. We are seeing 17 up there in Liberty, always the cool spot there. Down in Summers, 24 degrees, and of course across the island we are seeing some cooling happening there, or excuse me, some clearing happening there, and temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. Now tomorrow, once this front does pass, we do still get a mix of the sun and the clouds, but again, that sun's not going to do too much in terms of warming us up. We are expecting temps to be in the upper 30s, low 40s across the Hudson Valley. We'll have areas that struggle to make it out of the lower 30s. Liberty there, for instance, Monroe making it to 36 tomorrow. Across the island, we are talking low 40s across South Shore as well as North Shore, and across the southern edges of Connecticut there, upper 40s as well. So for our marathon runners, yes, that half marathon, it's going to be a chilly start. We're seeing those temperatures by the time that race gets started in the lower 30s, staying chilly through that 9 o'clock hour and even into noon. We're still expecting to not only see those mostly sunny skies, but temps still in the upper 30s. With this factoring in the wind chills, we're expecting to have it feeling a lot cooler than that. Gonna go ahead and take you to some wind gusts to show you. Tomorrow morning, we are seeing gusts go as high as 15 to 20 miles per hour. Getting through our afternoon, you'll see there that 2:30 hour. Winds are picking up even more out of the northwest. So, of course, that's going to give us a wind chill. Now, while air temperatures say 20s and 30s, we are talking single digits in some areas waking up tomorrow at that 7:30 hour. Across the city, 17 degrees at that 7:30 hour, even pushing into the afternoon. We are talking upper teens, low 20s. That's what it's going to feel like. So while we are pretty quiet on our satellite and radar tonight, things do switch up as we do have this front. It's going to continue to swing across the region, dropping those temperatures. However, we do start off Monday pretty bright in blue. That'll be the case for our Tuesday as well, and temperatures back up into the 60s. By the time we get to the end of the week, Arrianee, we are talking some more of those spring showers right back on the radar.
All right, thank you, Star. Time now for sports. I'll send it over to Joe Mauceri. And Joe, March Madness is alive and well.
Yeah, that's why we love it this time of year. Before tonight, just 3 15 seeds had ever made it to the Sweet 16 in March Madness. St. Peter's did it last year, and now the Princeton Tigers can add their names to the list. Senior Ryan Langborg led the way with a game-high 22 points for Princeton, and Princeton led Missouri by as many as 21 points, really controlled the game throughout. Freshman Caden Pierce had 9 points and 16 boards in the win as Princeton becomes the first Ivy League school to advance to the Sweet 16 since Cornell did it back in 2010.
Obviously, being here is pretty surreal. Coming into this tournament, I think this is what we all wanted. We're not done yet. We got a bunch of games left, hopefully. But, yeah, it's like Tosan said, it's hard to put into words. It's just we're all so excited, and we're ready to get after the next one.
And going around the NCAA tournament, San Diego State over Furman, Tennessee upends Duke, Arkansas edges the defending champs Kansas by 1, while Houston takes out Auburn, and Texas hangs on to beat Penn State. Well, it was a good one at the Garden this afternoon in the NBA. Oh, there we go. Get through the scores. Knicks hosting the best in the West with Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets in town. Jalen Brunson back in the lineup after missing 5 of the last 6 games with a foot injury. This one was tight in the fourth quarter. Brunson with the sidestep, and he buries the tough jumper. Knicks go up by 5. Brunson had 24. Nuggets not going away, though. Jokic with not 1, but 2 spins as he hits the circle button, scores 2 of his 24. Denver back on top by 2. Later, game tied at 110, and check out Julius Randle. The tough fadeaway, he finished with 20, and the Knicks put the capper on this one. Brunson running the break. Mitchell Robinson rewarded for his cardio work as the Knicks win it 116 to 110 over Denver. In the NHL, the Rangers and Penguins playing back-to-back games at the Garden. Pens beat the Rangers 4-2 Thursday night. Sorry, Rangers beat the Pens 4-2 Thursday night. Blue Shirts trying to tie up the season series tonight, and oh boy, did they. A huge second period for the Rangers. 3-on-1 for Vladimir Tarasenko, and he puts it home as the Rangers took a 3-zip lead. They added 3 more in the period. Artemi Panarin scores his second of 2 goals on the evening. Rangers took a 6-zip lead, and that was your final. Down in Florida, Devils visiting the Panthers. New Jersey up 1-0 in the second. Mad scramble in front. Looks like it's in, but it's not eventually. It's Jesper Boquist who ends up with it and lets it rip. Devils go up 2-zip, but the Panthers exploded in the third period. 4 unanswered goals. Matthew Tkachuk breaks a 2-2 tie right here as Florida storms back to beat New Jersey 4-2, the final. Spring training baseball, the Mets and Astros playing under the lights in West Palm Beach. Max Scherzer looks like he's ramping up for the regular season. Mad Max pitched 7 shutout innings today, allowing just 4 hits while striking out 8. 7th inning, check out Tim LeCastro. He's known for his speed, but here he takes one deep to left, and that is gone. A solo home run as the Mets blank the Astros 2-zip. And the Mets providing an update on Brandon Nimmo today. The center fielder hurt himself sliding into second last night. Turns out it's a sprained knee and ankle. Nimmo considered week to week. Yankees and Blue Jays this afternoon, and Nestor Cortez getting touched up by the Jays. Vlad Guerrero Jr. smacks a solo homer to left. The Jays cut the Yankee lead to 2-1. Move to the second. Whit Merrifield takes Nestor yard. That's a 2-run shot. Jays took a 3-2 lead as Nestor allowed 5 runs in 3 1/3. Jays beat the Yankees 5-2. Well, when we come back, a putt the pros would be proud of. How one fan scored some serious cash with a shot you got to see to believe. That's when we come back. Well, you saw it right here on PIX 11, our second live golf event on CW Sports. The tour making a stop in Tucson this weekend. Your leader, Mark Leishman, chipping on the first hole. And watch as it goes in for eagle. He's at 10 under after shooting a 4 under 65 today. Just a shot ahead of Sergio Garcia. And you can catch tomorrow's final round from Tucson right here on PIX 11 starting at 1 p.m. And speaking of golf, here's a putt the pros would be proud of. Check out this moment from Cleveland last night. A fan with a chance to win $10,000 if she can sink a shot the length of the court. That's a 94-foot putt. Oh, we didn't show you that, and it was good. That's all the time
she made it.
Unreal.
And that'll do it for us here on the PIX 11 News at 10. Have a great night.
You never know when you'll encounter a crime, so be alert and hit record.